We're going to begin this morning with a video by the Green Children, a great new musical group who are working with Dr. Yunus to raise funds to build eye hospitals in Bangladesh. The song is called Hear Me Now and is about a Grameen Bank borrower. Please listen.
A scarf uncovers a smiling face that tells a story of a changing place. She knows no greater wonder than what she's seen. She bears a heart of secrets from where she's been. She says, hear me now, hear me now, hear me out. She cries, see me now, see me now, seeing me in the rise. She's worked hard and achieved a new life's been received. So much pride in her eyes. She's thrown out her disguise. She's got a chance to make it on her own. Just one man gave hope to his home. He says, hear me now, hear me now, hear me out. He cries, see her now, see her now, see her. She speaks unfamiliar words, but so easily understood. It's like a tone in her voice reveals a power, a joy. She's so wonderful, the way she holds herself. She finally broke the spell. You can tell. Hey, hear me now, hear me now, hear me out. She cries, see me now, see me now, seeing me in the eyes. Hear me now, hear me now, hear me out. He cries, see her now, see her now, seeing her. A scarf uncovers a smiling face that tells a story of a changing place.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Dwayne and Kelly Roberts Dean of the Pepperdine University School of Law, Ken Starr.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Dean Perrin. That was Tim Perrin. How about a round of applause for Tim Perrin? What a glorious day for the entire Pepperdine community and for our School of Law. We thank you all for coming, so many students, faculty, staff, friends, and guests. Thank you. We also want to thank those of you who are still in those other classrooms watching by live video feed at this very historic moment in Pepperdine's history. Thank you also to Professor Janet Kerr. Janet Kerr is a visionary, and 7 years ago, she had a vision, and it was the creation of what is now our Jeffrey H. Palmer Center for Entrepreneurship and the Law. And she continues to serve so ably as its executive director. As indicated in your program, I hope each of you has his or her program, Pepperdine's relationship with Dr. Yunus, which we treasure, and Grameen Bank, developed when Professor Kerr and others from the Palmer Center here at the law school visited Dr. Yunus in Bangladesh earlier this year. Was he hospitable? Thank you for your hospitality. We pride ourselves on our hospitality, but you were so wonderfully hospitable, you and your very able staff. There he was presented with the Palmer Center's Entrepreneurship of the Year Award. Janet, Professor Kerr, will you please stand and be recognized? Dr. Yunus, thank you for honoring our community today by gracing us with your presence and your example. We look forward to expanding and growing Pepperdine's relationship with you and with Grameen Bank. And we celebrate your commitment to funding scholarships for children of microcredit clients who will come and study at Pepperdine. We like scholarships at Pepperdine. Just as we honor and celebrate our own Pepperdine alumni family, including Zofar Subhan, an alumnus who has returned to Bangladesh to work alongside you in your important work. After Dr. Yunus's address, we will have a question and answer session. Dr. Yunus very much wants to hear from you and to have the benefit of your questions, so he wants you to be participating in this morning's program. So you'll have a chance, that's what all those cards and pencils are for, to submit a question on cards that have been provided. At the conclusion of our program, Dr. Darrell Tippins, our Provost and Chief Academic Officer, will offer closing remarks, and then we will have a reception to which you're cordially invited in our atrium. Here at the Pepperdine University School of Law, our guiding philosophy is it's all about our students. We love our students, and we have a wonderfully talented and very diverse student body from all over the world, 3 of whom will participate in today's program. Like many of their classmates, these 3 students truly have a heart for the world's poor, for the least of these. They were privileged to travel to Bangladesh this past summer and to work with Dr. Yunus and his colleagues at Grameen Bank during internships sponsored by the Palmer Center on Entrepreneurship and the Law. One of these students is Amedia Goresh, and she's going to introduce Dr. Yunus. Amedia hails from the great state of Georgia, not the country, but the state of Georgia, and she attended Samford, not Stanford, Samford University in Birmingham, Alabama. Were we in the South, we wouldn't have to clarify that. At Pepperdine, Amedia is one of our most active and energetic students. She serves on the Moot Court Board. She is a member of one of our 4 law journals and a very active member of the Christian Legal Society. We're very proud of her. In welcoming Amedia to introduce Dr. Yunus, I would like to say that as Dean, nothing gives me greater pleasure than to work with our wonderful students. Please join me in welcoming Amedia Goresh.
Thank you, Dean Starr. It's a great honor for me to introduce to you Dr. Muhammad Yunus, the 2006 Nobel Peace Prize recipient. Margaret Mead once famously said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world, for indeed it's the only thing that ever has." Dr. Yunus founded the Grameen Bank and has indeed changed the world. Started in 1976 as an experimental project, Grameen became established as a formal bank in 1983. The Grameen Bank gives out microloans without collateral to the poorest of the poor, particularly women in Bangladesh, to enable them to launch and grow small businesses. The bank is built on mutual trust, participation, accountability, and creativity. The Nobel Prize recognized Dr. Yunus's work in pioneering microcredit, now used worldwide as a tool in the fight against poverty. Grameen Bank starts with the philosophy that credit should be accepted as a basic human right, and creditworthiness is not based upon material possession of a person, but rather a person's potential. Grameen Bank believes that all human beings, including the poorest, are endowed with endless potential. Today, Grameen Bank has lent more than $6.4 billion to 7.27 million people throughout Bangladesh. It has a repayment rate of 98.6% and is fully self-serving. Currently, Dr. Yunus is working to bring the concept of microcredit to the United States. The plan will provide non-collateral credit establishment of small loans of at least $500, as well as savings programs to poor Americans from all backgrounds, and will be based in the New York City area at the beginning. As mentioned by Dean Starr, the founder and executive director of the Palmer Center, Janet Kerr, Director Melanie Howard, and Program Administrator Kim Rutz recently traveled to Dhaka, Bangladesh earlier this year to honor Dr. Yunus's accomplishments by giving him the inaugural Palmer Center Social Entrepreneurship of the Year Award. The partnership between the Palmer Center and Pepperdine University still continues, as this summer, Jay Milbrandt, Ian Davis, and myself traveled to Bangladesh to learn more about microcredit and Dr. Yunus's world-changing work. We spent time not only learning about the bank's internal structure and the work of their head office, but actually traveled extensively throughout the country to witness the enormous impact the Grameen Bank has had throughout communities and millions of lives around the world. The trip was definitely the highlight of my law school career. It is a great honor now to introduce to you again a man of vision and humility, a true world changer, Dr. Muhammad Yunus, to Pepperdine University.
Thank you so much. So kind of you. It's a gorgeous day. It's a very important day for me. It's a lovely place. When I was entering the campus, I couldn't believe such a beautiful campus. If I knew the campus was so gorgeous and so beautiful, I would have come here to receive the award. Before I could make up my mind, Janet and her colleagues came right over to Bangladesh. Didn't give me a chance. But we were very, very happy that you came, because most occasions when I receive a recognition, an award for Grameen Bank or our work, this happens somewhere else. And my colleagues, who are thousands and thousands of them, and borrowers, they don't see it. They don't know what's happening. But in your case, my colleagues could come and see the ceremony, that you came all the way from Pepperdine to give this award. Thank you very much for honoring us. It was a wonderful thing to receive this award. It's not, we have received award from universities or economics department, sociology department, but never from the law school. That was very significant for us. We're always fighting the laws. We said laws are against us all the time. So we're very happy that law school came forward and recognized us, and we see a possibility that we can impact in creating new kind of frameworks, the legal frameworks within which people can grow, people can come out, and so on. And I'm very happy to be here. And I was asked by Dean that I will be telling you the stories that he heard me speak on Vanderbilt University campus, and also the way that our work proceeds in Bangladesh. I'll just start with Vanderbilt because I was in Vanderbilt as a student, as a Fulbright student. And after I finished my PhD, I started teaching in Murfreesboro at the MTSU, Middle Tennessee State University. So I was there. And while I was teaching there, Bangladesh got into a war with Pakistan, a liberation war, which caused us a lot of damages and bloodshed back in 1971. And I was campaigning within United States to mobilize support for our independence movement, lobbying at the Congress, coming to different campuses, talking to the students, explaining our cause. And Bangladesh became independent at the end of 1971. As soon as we became independent country, I decided to resign from my job at the MTSU and go back to Bangladesh. And that's exactly what I did. And it's when you come to an end of a liberation war successfully, you go through an euphoria that now everything will be solved, things will happen the best possible way. But as in most cases, those dreams soon turn into nightmares. And instead of the country moving up, the country was sliding downwards very fast because of the destruction that took place, because of the chaos it created within the society, dislocations and so on. By 1974, the country ended up with a terrible famine, people dying of hunger. And not just in dozens or not in hundreds, but in hundreds of thousands of people dying of hunger. So you teach beautiful economic theories, elegant economic theories in classroom, then you come out of the classroom, you see a very different picture. It doesn't look as elegant that it looked within the classroom. You feel emptiness in yourself. What good is your knowledge, whatever you have learned in your school, when it doesn't come to use to people? A sense of emptiness, a sense of uselessness kind of grips you. So that was happening, and the frustration of it all, that you cannot do anything in the face of such a crisis, where people die not of any disease. They die just because they can't have a little bit to eat. And the death doesn't come all of a sudden. It kind of inches. Every day you come a little bit closer. Every moment you come a little bit closer. And it doesn't get resolved. So in a situation like that, you struggle with yourself. What you need to do, what you can do. So one idea that came to my mind, that as a human being, I can still stand by another human being and extend my hand and see if I can be of any use to the other person, even for a day. I don't know how to solve the problem of a person for a lifetime. I cannot even attempt that, but to be useful for a day is possible. And that's what I started doing that. And I was lucky that I was teaching in a university which is located right in the middle of the villages. So I could just walk out of the campus line and be in the village and be with the people. So every day I would do that and do whatever I could do on that day and feel a little bit easy that I'm doing something, at least be with the people. I can bring some hope for them. Then I get into another issue as I go around, the moneylenders in the village. How they kind of extract everything from the poor people by lending tiny little money. So I made a list of people who were borrowing from moneylenders as I go around in the village. So when my list was complete, there were 42 names on that list. And the total money they borrowed from the moneylenders was $27. I couldn't believe, as an economics teacher, we talk in terms of millions of dollars and billions of dollars, 5-year national development plans, and the macro investments that you had to go to change the economy of the country so the poor can get out of poverty and all those things. But cannot believe that people have to go through so much humiliation and so much torture, ruthless torture, for pennies. As I was shocked and stunned by looking at that, something came to my mind. I said, the problem is difficult, very difficult, but the solution is so simple. And the idea of solution was, if I give this $27 from my pocket to all these 42 people, as listed, and ask them to return the money to the moneylenders, they will be free. They can continue to do what they are doing. They will not miss anything, but they will be free from the tortures of the moneylenders. It excited me, and immediately I acted on it. And I thought, at least I have done something which will keep them away from the clutches of the moneylenders. But I didn't realize the outcome of it, what will happen after that. So I go in the village after that, as I do every day. But now people look at me in a strange way. They look at me as if I descended from heaven. In the beginning, I was a little puzzled, embarrassed, but then I felt like, if you can become an angel for $27, it's your opportunity to do more and become some kind of super angel. So I saw a great opportunity for myself that if I can do that, people will be happy. The question that came to my mind, if you can make so many people so happy with such a tiny amount of money, why shouldn't you do more of it? So it drove me to the next step, to do more of it. At the beginning, I had no idea that it will generate such a response. But seeing that, I couldn't avoid that question. So again, I came up with another simple solution to this. Simple solution to my mind may not be the simple to others, because I was innocent about the whole thing. I thought, why don't I go to the bank and ask them to lend money to the poor people in the village? This is a small amount of money. They will not miss it. They'll be happy to do it. See how innocent I was? And I go there, talk to the manager of the bank. He literally falls from the sky. He couldn't believe that I was saying that kind of thing. He said, no, bank cannot lend money to the poor people. You know that? I said, I don't know that. And he said, poor people are not creditworthy. I said, how do you know that? He said, everybody knows that. I said, I don't. So we got into real big dialogue. And he cannot persuade me, and I cannot persuade him. So this is a dead end. Finally, to kind of save himself, he said, I cannot answer all your questions. You go and talk to my superiors at the higher levels. I took his word for it, and for the next few months, I was running around meeting all those banking high officials. Everybody answered me the same way. It cannot be done. Banks cannot lend money to the poor people because they are not creditworthy. I wouldn't give up. They wouldn't give in. So it goes on. Finally, I learned something from these conversations. I used that. I said, why did you accept me as a guarantor? I sign all your papers. I take the risk. You save the rules. And people get the money. This time I spoke their language. They cannot quite throw me out of the window. But finally, after another 2 months of writing back and forth, negotiating, they accepted me as a guarantor and ready to give the money. Not that they were persuaded my arguments. I thought they just wanted to get rid of me. That's it. Give him some money, it will not work anyway. So soon he will stop bothering us. So that's how they agreed, and I was happy that they agreed. So I took the money from the bank with all my signatures, every single piece of paper they gave me, and took the money to the people in the village. And I was very happy that I could do that. But the bank manager says, you say goodbye to your money. This money will never come back. I said, I have no idea. I've never done that before. But I hope I'll find a way to encourage them to pay back. So I worked very hard along with my students to come up with these ideas, how to help people to pay back and feel comfortable with it. And it worked. As it worked, I got very excited because for the first time I learned that it works. The bank's saying it doesn't work. So I wanted to do more and continue to do another village and another village. Every time it becomes successful. The more successful it becomes, more confident I become. But the bank becomes more and more reluctant to support this. They were hoping that this thing will collapse. It's not collapsing. They keep saying that you are lucky, that's why it works. Next time you do this, it will collapse. Next time it doesn't collapse, it goes up again. So they were getting frustrated in their ideas. Finally, I thought, instead of getting to this reluctant banking system, why don't I create a separate bank for the poor people so that nobody will kind of work negatively against it? So this takes me to another route, to go to the government, to get the permission to set up the bank, go to the central bank. So it took me another couple of years, banging at everybody's door to persuade them. In 1983, we got the permission from the government, and we became a bank, Grameen Bank, or a village bank. And we are very happy. Now we created a separate bank. We can do as much as we want. Nobody will have to approve this or disapprove it. We can decide our own fate. And we continued to expand. We became nationwide very soon. While I was struggling with the bankers, two things I was telling them. I said, the banking system is unjust because you refuse to give loans to the poor people. And the second thing I added a few days later, that the banking system is unjust also on another ground. You refuse loans to women. They said, no, this is not true. I said, this is true. I said, look at the borrowers that you have in all your banks. If you add them up and look at the gender composition, not even 1% of those borrowers happen to be women. So there's something wrong in your system which kind of screen out the women. Anyway, they didn't have a good response to that. So when I began, I wanted to make sure right from the day one that half the borrowers in my program are women. Because I was complaining about something, I wanted to make sure people don't complain against me again. So I wanted to make sure half of them are women. We wanted to focus the poorest, and then within that, the half of the borrowers should be women. Continued to do that. As I go talking to the women in the village, the women always say, no, not to me. I don't know anything about money. Some of them will say, I never touched money in my life. Don't scare me. I don't want to get involved with that. We used to make fun after hearing all these things. We'll say, our students will bring out some money from the pocket and say, why don't you touch it? They won't bite you. This is just a piece of paper. So anyway, this is just to kind of encourage them to feel comfortable with it. No, not me. Give it to my husband. He's the one who handles money. So my students were getting very frustrated because I was insisting that it has to be 50%. And they kept telling me, how can you have 50%? Because women themselves don't think they can use it. How can you force it on them? That doesn't make sense. They say they don't know anything, They have no business idea. They have never done this before. So why pursue this? Anybody who wants it, let's give it to them. I said, no. When a woman says, I don't know anything, when a woman says, no, I don't want to take money, it's not her voice. It is the voice of the fear. Fear that we have created around her for years and years and hundreds of years. So you don't expect that fear to disappear overnight just because you brought some money. It will take time and lots of patience so that you can peel off that fear layer by layer. Gradually it will go, and someday the real person will come up and say, let me try. And we are waiting for that day. Don't give up. Keep working, keep encouraging, keep creating confidence in them. It took 6 years of that process. And finally we reached that level, 50-50. And we are so happy because everybody said it cannot be done. Because they have no idea. They have not handled money in their life. How can you give them money? Now we have done it, and they have the money, they are using it, and using it well. Then we started noticing something else. Money going to the family through the women brought so much more benefit to the family than the same amount of money going to the family through men. In every case, you cannot fail. At the beginning, we had no idea that this kind of thing will emerge, but it is so clear, so transparent. You don't need to be a smart researcher to go and find it. But just by casual observation, you see that this is the difference between what happens within the family if the mother is a borrower and if father is a borrower. You can almost write a book about it. What difference does it make? Children become the immediate beneficiary if the mother is the borrower. And something poverty taught the poor woman. If you are in a poor family, if you are a woman, your husband always brings whatever is needed for the family because you don't earn anything. It's the husband who earns a little bit and brings it to you, and expects you to take care of every single need of the family with whatever he gave it to you. And if you don't do it, then you are a bad wife. You don't know how to handle things. You get abused, you get beaten up because you are wasting money and so on. So in the process, she learns something. She becomes an excellent manager of scarce resources by necessity, because she will be otherwise blamed as a very bad manager of the household. So when we gave this little money in her hand, she brought all her management skill in managing that little money she got. And she got the best mileage out of it. Men never went through that process. So he was not as careful about handling money as woman was. So you see the difference in the use of the money and the skill of the management. And woman has a longer vision. She wanted to go up to someplace. Men generally wanted to enjoy right now, didn't worry much about the future. So your imprint on that, you can see it very clearly. Case after case, you see that and you get impressed by what happens when the woman is the borrower. Then we started raising a different question. Should we continue with 50-50 or change it? We said, what is so good about 50-50? And then we jumped into the decision. We said, let's change it. Let's focus on women. Because if you get so much social impact, money-wise it's the same. Everybody is paying back. Men were paying back, women were paying back. But the impact is so different. So we changed our mind. And quickly we moved from 50 to 60 and 70 and so on, 90%. Today we have about 7.5 million borrowers. 97% of them are women. And the bank, right from the beginning, was designed as a bank to be owned by the borrowers. So the Grameen Bank is not only a bank for the poor people, it's a bank for the poor women. At the same time, it's a bank owned by the poor women. So our board is a very interesting board. All poor women sitting as a director of the bank. Coming from remote villages, they got elected. Every 3 years you elect new board members, gone through very elaborate procedure to elect board members. And then you end up with elected board members. They decide what this huge bank with 27,000 staff, decisions are made by these women. Where does the money come from, the money that we lend out? It's not the money which comes from the government. It doesn't come from donors or the World Bank or Asian Development Bank or any other such source. It's generated internally. So no money has to come, or Grameen Bank doesn't even borrow money from anybody. It has so much money inside. We have over 2,500 branches. When we open a new branch, we give the address of the new branch where we are going to locate that to the new branch manager who is going to start the branch, and tell him this is the place you are going to open the branch, and we don't give you any money. You go empty-handed, settle there, and start taking deposits, mobilize deposits in the locality. As you get the deposits, you lend the money to the people, poor women. So it's a local money, local poor women. It's the local economy that you build up. That's your task. And that's how every branch is done. We don't give money from the head office. They don't borrow from other branches. It's all their money from there. So it's a self-reliant, not only self-reliant bank, it's a self-reliant branch. And then we give 12 months to this manager. Within 12 months, you must come to the break-even point. So you can't sit around and say, okay, we are doing this, but this year so much losses, this year so much loss. No, not that. Within 12 months, you break even. All your costs are covered by your income. And that's what they do. So this is what the story of Grameen Bank. We focused on the children of Grameen families right from the beginning. This is one of the things, many of you are familiar with 16 decisions of Grameen Bank, which emerged within Grameen Bank over years. And one of the decisions is we shall send our children to school. These are all illiterate children, all illiterate families. So we thought one good thing is to send the children to school. And we started encouraging it, and we succeeded in sending all the children to school. But what amazed us, not only these children went to school, some of them started being at the top of the class. So that was a thrilling experience for us, to see these children coming from the extreme poor families, illiterate families, for the first time going to school. Nobody in the family ever went to school. Now going there, now she is at the top of the class. So we thought this needs to be celebrated. Something is happening which we never expected. So we started giving scholarships to those students who are doing excellent results in the schools, boys, girls. Today we have more than 30,000 scholarships that we give to such students within Grameen Bank. Another thing, again, beyond our expectation, some of the students we see at a higher level of education. We thought these students will go through the primary education and we will celebrate that we have done a new generation with the primary education. Reality was more than that. They went to the high school, they went to college, now they end up in medical school, engineering school. So noticing the first such event taking place, we all started thinking what to do with it. Many of these children who were qualified to go into higher education couldn't probably go because financing is a very difficult process for their parents to support. So they probably turn out to be vendors or shopkeepers because they couldn't move up despite the fact they have the ability. So we said, no way, we can't waste such a thing. So what we did, we introduced education loan. So we guaranteed that anybody who qualifies to go into higher education, you don't have to worry about financing. Grameen Bank stands behind you. You can move as far as you can go. So we have been doing that. Today we have more than 18,000 students in higher education, in medical schools, engineering schools, universities, and 2 of them finished their PhDs, and 2 of them are in postdoctoral situations in different universities. So it's an amazing thing to see these children when they get together, those young people. There's no difference between those young people in the university and university other kids. Nobody even recognizes that these is coming for the first time in their lifetime from their families to come to the universities. Not only they are coming first time in the universities and medical schools, engineering school, in many, many villages, she's the first one to become a doctor in the whole cluster of villages. So it is coming from the poorest family, that in the whole village, she is the only doctor who went to medical school and became a certified medical practitioner. So this is one that we feel very happy, and we go around and talk to the universities to give us more scholarships so that we can send our children to your university so that they can go into higher education. And I argue that this works both ways. It helps the children of Grameen families to move up and become, it gives a message that you may be in a poor family, but quality-wise, ability-wise, you're no different from any other children anywhere else. At the same time, for campuses, it's also very good. When you talk about poverty and other issues, it's not something remote. It's your roommate who comes from the poorest family. It's your classmate who is from the, and he or she can tell you what it is all about. And then it becomes real. It's not something weighed out there. And when you read it in the textbook, he says, no, that's not the way it happens, really. This is the way it happens. This is what I faced. It makes knowledge real knowledge, not an abstract knowledge. So that's how, and I'm very happy many of the universities now have come up with that, and our students are going to many international universities in the learning places. Another one story that I want to tell, because this is also exciting for us. Many people argue that microcredit is only useful for the entrepreneurial poor. And there are not too many entrepreneurial poor. So if you give it to any poor, it won't work. And whenever I hear this argument, it always burns me up, because I argue that all human beings are entrepreneurs, without exception, because it's part of being a human being. You cannot take this piece out and say this is a human being. You are missing the essential point of human being. Human being, by nature, is an entrepreneur. The fact that some are seen to be entrepreneur and some are not seen as an entrepreneur is because of the society that we built. Society didn't give the opportunity to some to bring that capacity out, unleash that capacity. So that's why they look like they don't have entrepreneurial ability. And I refer back to what I said earlier about the women when I go the first time, when we are trying hard, take some money, do something. No, not me. Give it to my husband. So if we accepted that she doesn't have entrepreneurial ability, we wouldn't be talking about 7.5 million borrowers, 97% women today. So we continued with it because we believe that it is there. It's like prospecting. It's like drilling for oil or something. You know that the oil is there, so you have to get it. So, and you may make a false start a few times, but you finally get there. You finally discover it's there. So it's a question of bringing it out. You have the precious gift inside of you. Simply, you couldn't unwrap it. Nobody let you know that you have that precious gift. So you never bothered to unwrap it. So once you know that you have it, you keep on trying to unwrap it. And once it gets out, you get excited that I have it, I can do that. So this is what the issue is. So what I did, I said, since the more I argue, the more it continues, it doesn't disappear, why don't I create some program which will demonstrate it. Then they cannot throw it out. So one idea that I came up with, why don't we give loans to the beggars? Exclusive. We always did loan to the beggars, but not exclusive to the beggars. So this program is exclusive to the beggars. So we go and talk to the beggars, talk to them how she became a beggar, at what point in life, finally she had to stretch her hand for livelihood. She cannot take it any other way because she and her kids couldn't survive except for the mercy of others. And that became a daily routine now. She couldn't find any other way. She has to go and beg and then feed the children for the day. And we said, as you go from house to house begging, would you care to carry some merchandise with you? Some cookies, some candies, some toys for the kids? You are going there anyway. This is not extra work. And if it works, fine. If it doesn't work, you've not lost anything. You go on begging anyway. But you're giving people options. Let them decide whether they want to give you some charity or they want to buy something from you. And they liked it. And we thought maybe we'll have about a couple of thousand beggars in the program. We can observe how they behave. It became so popular instantaneously among the beggars, more so among our staff. They got very excited. For the first time, they felt they are doing something real good, working for the beggars. And they start clamoring that, oh, we have to give us more opportunity to take more beggars. I said, no, don't take too many beggars. Just do. Take only one each and make sure that you are doing the right thing with her. But gradually I had to increase the number because they kept on screaming that we can do it. Why don't you let us do that? So now there are more than 100,000 beggars in the program. An amazing thing is how they quickly learn their trade. On them, we never train anybody. People keep asking, do you train the beggar? I said, no, just give the money and tell them that you can carry some merchandise. We don't know, you figure it out what will sell. And as you go around, you'll learn about it. More than 10,000 of those beggars by now have stopped begging completely. They became door-to-door salesperson. Some of them became personal shoppers. Because women in Bangladesh cannot go to the market. So if she needs a match, a box of matches, she has to ask her husband, please bring a box of matches, because without that box of matches, she can't start cooking. And husband, as they are always, they forget. Now she found a way. When this beggar comes, he say, can you bring me 2 boxes of matches? Here's the money, you bring it tomorrow. Settles the whole thing. Some of them even given little tiny note, list. You give it to the shop and they will give you and I'll pay you back. It's no problem. So this is how another kind of business they are developing. For the remaining 90,000, I would describe it as part-time beggars. And my colleagues who are working with them, they are very impatient. They want to see all of them get out of begging right away. I said, don't rush, don't push them too hard. They have to make their own decision. At their own time, they will do it. I said, they are in the process of closing down their begging division. And then strengthening the sales division. It takes time. It's a process of restructuring the business. So it's amazing way that people kind of respond to this opportunity you gave. What is the amount of loan we give to them? It's basically about $15 to $20. That's about the money. If by lending $15, $20 to beggar, if you can help change his or her own life from the humiliation of being a beggar at everybody's door into a salesperson with dignity. I ask sometimes when I talk to them, I ask, what is the difference you feel as you go along with this new work that you do? Always the most exciting part of it, when we beg, they don't even open the door. They just talk to us to the window. Now that she knows, the family knows that we bring something, they open the door and give us a stool to sit inside the house. It's not the money they talk about. It is the honor, respect they get. They open the door and give us a stool to sit. And the kids always come around. What did you bring for us? And she became known to the family members because she's selling things, doing things. So this is another aspect of Grameen Bank, the way we try to look at. And the final question is, why poverty? And after all these years of experience, and the point that I always make, poverty is not created by the poor people. It is not their fault. Poverty is created by the system we built. All the institutions that we built, all the legal framework that we created, all the concepts that we built. That's where the seed of poverty is inserted. And that poverty that we see in real world is a reflection of what we have done on the other side of this, within the system. It's an imposition on people. It's an artificial imposition on people. Human beings has enormous potential, unlimited potential. But simply they cannot bring it out. I even give it as an example of bonsai tree, the little tree that you have in a flower pot. I said the tree, that bonsai is a small tree, not because there's something wrong in the seed. Seed is a perfect seed. But we planted it wrong place. It's a flower pot. It needed a huge, big space to grow. And poor people are bonsai people. Nothing wrong with their seed. Simply, society never gave them the space so that they can grow. If they had the right space, they will be as tall as anybody else. There is nothing wrong. And that's what the new generation of young people coming out from those poor families demonstrated very clearly. There's nothing different. They came from the same family. But you created an opportunity, they took the opportunity, went ahead. They made it. And in terms of institution, one institution which is clearly comes out in our experience, the banking institution, why they deny access to poor people. And then on the concept side, I talk about the business. I said there is only one kind of business economic theory has created on the basis that business has to be a business to make money. Maximizing profit is the mission of business. I said making money is, of course, is a part of human being, but this is not the whole of human being. Human being is much bigger than just making money. Human being has so many other urges inside. As we want our personal satisfaction, we want to achieve our personal goals to make money, get rich, and so on. At the same time, we want to be helpful to others. There is a caring part of human being, which business cannot take care of. Because the way theoreticians stipulated human being the way it is a kind of a robot-like people. The only thing they want is to make money, nothing else. So we created the world like that. We all be playing the role of robots because theory told us. So we are imitating the theory. We are trying to fit into the theory. I said that's a shame. Theory should be one that will be reflecting what the human beings are, rather than human beings will be squeezed to fit into the little slot that the theory has created. I said to justify the full human being, there should be at least another kind of business. Business to do good, without any expectation of making money. It is part of human being. You are creating a space for them, a space for each one of them. So we are not imposing that you have to do the social business. Nobody is imposing. If you want, here is the space. And I define them by saying non-loss, non-dividend company. with a social objective. So when I start a social business, I'm not doing it to make money. I'm doing it to solve a social problem. We created a company which illustrates this very well. This is important because we created it in collaboration with, it's a huge big company called Danone, a milk company or yogurt company or whatever, or the water company. It's the number one water company in the world. So what we do, we created a company called Grameen Danone Company in Bangladesh, a social business company. What we do, we produce yogurt. But this yogurt is different than yogurt that you eat. This yogurt we created for malnourished children of Bangladesh. We take all the micronutrients which is missing in the malnourished children, the vitamin, iron, zinc, iodine, whatever it is, we put it in this yogurt. And yogurt is as tasty as any other yogurt. The kids love it and make it so cheap because you don't want to make profit out of it. You made it so cheap. The kids, instead of buying little snacks here and there, they just use the money to buy this yogurt. And in the process, they regain the health. And this company is now functioning in Bangladesh. And agreement with Danone, Danone has declared that they will not take any dividend out of it. They can take back their investment money, whatever investment they made, over time they can take it back. But they still own the company, but no dividend. So bringing dividend is not the purpose. Purpose is how many children have now better health. That's the goal. So this is a social business. And we can create social business in terms of water. There are many communities in the world who have to live with polluted, arsenic-contaminated water. Bangladesh is one country with arsenic-contaminated water. If we can create a social business to bring safe water to the people in an affordable way so that it doesn't cost them anything, and at the same time, company is not losing money. That's why it's a non-loss, non-dividend. If you lose money, then you're not a company. We do a lot of good things now that we cannot do under the present framework through the business front. So we step out of the business or step out of the economy and become a philanthropist, create foundations, create charities, and we do that. Charities are extremely useful. It's all because human being had the urge. So it is always in history of human being to charity and so on. It's never disappeared. It becomes stronger and stronger. But economics never considered that. Economics said, no. All you have to do within economics is to make money, nothing else. So if you take the social business and charity, you see the distinction between that. Charity dollar has only one life. You can use it only once. If you used it, it's done, work is accomplished. But if you want to repeat it, you have to bring a new dollar to do this again. Every time you want to repeat it, new dollar will be needed. Social business dollar is a very powerful dollar. It recycles. It has endless life. It never withers away. It becomes stronger and stronger, comes back repeatedly, and achieve the same goal, like nutrition. We can continue to produce yogurt as much they want, as many plants as big a plant as they want, no problem, because we recover the cost. But in the process, the children get the benefit, they're regaining their health. So I'm saying that we have to take it seriously within our economic structure. And then we have to have departments. Now we have the MBAs in the, which trains the young people to serve the profit-making companies to make more money. That's how we train them. This is a good purpose, no bad purpose. But we need another course, another department of social MBAs, where the young people will be trained how to run companies to do good to people. How do you measure it? How you design it? How do you bring down the cost as low as possible so that people benefit from it? Since your profit component is not necessary here, so you can bring it, you don't have to make it fancy packaging because it's useless because people don't eat fancy packaging. In Grameen Danone, we were insisting that the container in which the yogurt will come first, it has to be biodegradable. And then I was insisting when they finally found a biodegradable container, a material, I said, it has to be eatable. Why should I spend money on something which has to be thrown away? And I give the example of ice cream. I said, when I get ice cream, I get the cone. I love the cone. I said, the kids should love this, whatever container you are giving, and it should bring nutrition for them because they paid money for it. So these are the challenges. The moment you come out of that profit maximizing format into a social business format, your thinking process changes completely. Do you advertise your product? Do you make extra expenditure to make it look attractive or whatever? So these are questions you have to resolve because our goal is to reach people as lowest cost as possible, as best quality as possible. All the frills has to disappear. So once we can create this kind of situation, poverty will not be any place. All the poor people will come out of poverty. And once for all, there will be no poverty left in the world. Then we'll celebrate it and we'll create poverty museums. So when the dinosaurs are gone, we have to put their skeletons there so that our kids could go and say, this is the one that used to be there. And our kids will be visiting those poverty museums and will get horrified. What a way we treated each other for no fault of their own. They were as good human beings as anybody else, but we let them suffer. And they will be happy it doesn't happen anymore. Thank you so much.
A poverty museum, what a great vision. Was that a powerful and poignant and practical narrative? Thank you. And you will also note that Dr. Yunus used the language of the law at its best, the language of justice. The system, the banking system was unjust, appealing to that universal human norm of what is just and what is right. Thank you so much, Dr. Yunus. And now, your questions. And Dr. Yunus will be responding to questions from three of our wonderful students. You've already met Amedia. This is Ian Davis. Ian Davis is from Brigham Young University and has also spent time at Grameen Bank. Would you welcome Ian Davis? One of our second-year students. And Dr. Yunus, you mentioned business school. I'm very proud that Jay Milbrandt is a joint JD Juris Doctor MBA candidate who also worked at Grameen Bank as well as in Thailand on human trafficking. These are our questioners. Please welcome our three questioners. Now, I hope that you will write your questions on a card, pass them to the end of the aisle, and to get it started, Amedia, we're going to ask you to start with a question of your own.
Thank you, Dean Starr. Dr. Yunus, how has microfinance furthered the cause of peace around the world?
The basic question that we raised over years that poverty is a threat to peace. For one simple reason that poverty becomes a thriving breeding ground for violence, for disorder, and unrest. So if you even look at peace, you have to clear up the breeding ground first. So the more you improve the situation of poverty, you overcome the situation of poverty, you enhance the chances of peace within a country and between countries. Because many cases between a neighboring country, problem arises because the poor people are entering their territory and because they are looking for jobs, illegal migrants. This you hear all the time. Creates a lot of tension. Sometimes they go into conflict because of that, armed conflict, because of the problem that they have about territories, about livelihoods, and so on. So I would say it's a very fundamental issue. As long as poverty remains, you will have disorder and conflict in the society. So we have to address that issue very roundly.
Dr. Yunus, how do you see the field of microfinance expanding to include non-business or economic related professionals such as law or even education or medicine?
We got involved with many such things. I just mentioned about the education part of it. We take the whole 7.5 million borrowers that we have as a kind of a family. So we want to address all those issues that we have. We give housing loans so that they can have a housing, better housing for themselves, sanitation loans so that they can have sanitary latrines and so on. So we have if you look at our 16 decisions, out of 16, 9 of them are health related. And none of them has anything to do with banking. It doesn't say I pay my installment regularly, I shall do this, I shall be very careful how I invest. Nothing like that. Simply says we shall grow vegetable all year round and eat plenty of it and sell the surplus. And the vegetable question came because children were suffering from night blindness. And wherever you go, find children in the beginning of Grameen Bank. It's amazing. This is a new experience for me. I had no idea. The children, after sunset, becomes blind. They cannot see anything. And when I talked to the doctor, they said, well, this is caused by vitamin A deficiency. And if you give vitamin A tablets, they will be cured. They will have as good eyesight as anybody else. But we were reluctant to use the tablets or pills, vitamin A tablets. Because we thought this is again another dependence coming in, that they have to find those tablets somewhere and have to spend money for doing this, and somebody will be making money out of these tablets. So we were told that vitamin A is easily available from vegetables. If it's a color vegetable, that's the best source of vitamin A. So we started selling the seeds of vegetables. We became the largest seed seller in the country. Make it sort of penny packets. All packets cost the same, 1 penny. Depending on how expensive the seed is, number of seeds differ in the package. But you always, they love that. Beautiful seeds, and Bangladesh soil is a very fertile soil. You spread those seeds, immediately you get beautiful vegetable. Today, night blindness totally disappeared in Bangladesh. It doesn't exist anymore.
You said that Grameen is always fighting the law. And how is law developing to further your work and further microfinance?
One very important point. See, when we are creating Grameen Bank, the most difficult problem we had to face, we were insisting that we should be created under a separate law. We should not be asked to create ourselves under the existing banking law. And that, finally we succeeded. We have a separate law for ourselves. And that's how we can work the way we do. Everywhere we have the problem of the banking law. And the way I describe it, I said the banking law, and I recently, about 2 weeks back, I was meeting the chairman of the Fed, and he asked me how can I help to have a Grameen Bank type program coming to United States. I said, one, you have to change the law. Or create a new law. So the existing law as it is, everywhere around the world, is an architecture. Law is basically an architecture of the society. You kind of design things so that it fits the society that way. It creates a society. It's a mold of the society. Law creates the society because this is the mold. I said the present architecture of banking is a sort of architecture for a super tanker. It's a huge big ship which goes into the deep ocean, carry lots of cargo. When we talk about microcredit, we are talking about dinghy boat, which goes into the shallow water. So we cannot create a dinghy boat with the architecture of a super tanker. If you do that, it will sink. It can't function. So we need an architecture of a dinghy boat. Then we can create and we can reach out every family, every place. Because it's a super tanker, it cannot go to those poor people. Because it's a shallow water, you can function. So that's why one basic thing, the legal reform that we have to do, create a new law so that we can create a banking system which is inclusive, which includes everybody. Nobody is denied. Not even the beggars are in this, not even a homeless person is excluded from that. Forget about the others. You look at USA, just the reason that this thing comes out repeatedly in our discussion now, because we are going to create a new effort to bring Grameen in USA called Grameen America. So we are setting it up in Queens, New York, in the Jackson Heights area. And we'll be facing a lot of problems, legal problems. I'll discuss that. One of the issues that I keep raising, I was raising with the Fed chairman also, I said, isn't that awkward? Is it not humiliating that a country like the United States with such a rich and state-of-the-art banking system still have pawn shops around the corner everywhere you go? Does it say good things about our banking system in this country? About the check cashing businesses, where you bring your check that you just got the salary from the university or wherever you work. You can't get the cash. You go to the check cashing companies and they rip you off. Why can't you get your money? Because you can't open an account. You are not qualified in their eyes to open an account with them. What kind of bank is that denies the right to open an account so that I can put my check, the $1,000 check, into that account and I get $1,000 back from that account? I don't have to go to the check cashing companies. Payday loans, thriving business all over USA. They rip you off, 40%, 50% interest for tiny little loan between two checks, salary check that you get. In the middle, you needed some money to fix your tire, to fix your car or whatever, otherwise you cannot function. So whatever it costs, you go to the payday loan and take the money an exorbitant rate. So these are the things. If we had the right kind of legal structure, we wouldn't have that. And the legal structure of the welfare. If you are on welfare, and if you earn $1, you have to report to the welfare authority, who will deduct from your check $1 because you earned $1. What kind of law is this one? If somebody thought carefully, it would make the other way. If you earn $1, government will match you with another $1. So that you are encouraged to earn money so that you get out of welfare. The whole intention, as if you look at the welfare law, whole intention as if to keep you in a welfare so that you can't get out of it. That shouldn't be it. The welfare law should be kind of a place where everybody is trying to help you get out. The moment you enter, everything now is activated to gradually help you out so that you don't have to come back again. So that's not how law was designed. So that's why I said the law is so important, so vital for every single thing. Yeah.
Dr. Yunus, you mentioned in your book, Banker to the Poor, that you were skeptical about a system working here in America. So I guess I would like to know what things have changed so that a system could work here, which does have very different social political structure than in your own country, and what type of model will you be using?
Well, part of it I just mentioned. The difficulties in Bangladesh, luckily, because a poor country, it doesn't have a welfare law. Nobody gets welfare because Bangladesh government cannot afford to give checks to everybody and so many millions of them. So we didn't have to struggle with the welfare law. Today, any microcredit program starts in this country, the first battle they have to fight is the welfare law, because you cannot reach out to the person. Even if the person who is in welfare now, you want to give money and she feels that, or he feels that with this, I don't need any welfare anymore. I can move out. But it's not easy to move out of welfare, even if you want to. If you say, I don't need any welfare, you cannot get out because of the health benefits. Because if you get out of welfare, you immediately lose your health benefits. So you're scared to death. You say, no, 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 I don't want to get out because if I go out, I cannot cope with this. And then the United States is a country with 47 million people without health insurance. So nobody has taken care of that. So this is another area that scares people in getting people out of welfare. So these are the problems it's not the people. People are the same. They are capable people. They want to do things, but the law ties you around. Since it's a very organized society, everything has to be regulated. So if I make a cake I want to sell, probably Food and Drug Administration will come over, have you got your license? In Bangladesh, we don't have to worry. If you like it, you eat it. So these are because all those rules, all those laws are created with the image in the mind of the lawmakers. We are dealing with businesses, companies. For companies, we made rules, we procedures. Now suddenly a woman makes a cake and wants to sell. I didn't think about that when I made the law. So the entire law that you made for the companies are imposed on this poor woman who wants to sell a cake. She fill up all the forms, you send all the returns, you get to the license. Can't do that, cope with that. So what you imagine, you get it, and you create problem for others. So that's the problem. Not with the people. People are fine. They are very energetic, very creative, and lots of opportunities to create their own income-generating facilities. They know the niche, what to do, but the circumstances are such they cannot go through it.
Dr. Yunus, sorry.
No, done.
Bill Clinton subtitled his new book, Giving, How Each of Us Can Change the World. What are your thoughts on how each of us here in this room today can make a difference?
Fantastic difference, each of us. One way I feel we can do, first, kind of take a day off, not do anything. And during that day, make a list. What kind of world I would create? What will be the feature of that world, in the world that I will make by myself? Because I can create the world as I wish. Somehow, I got the wish from the genie that I have one wish. I can create a world of myself. And now, I'm with the task, what are the things that I will have in this world? List them, one by one. And then, after that day, you exchange your list with each other. So what you have in your list and what I have. And some of the items that you put in your list, I love it. I want to include in my list. And someone that I have in my list, you liked it. You want to put it in the list. And someone I want to debate with you. This is not a good idea to have that. And then we resolve. Either you persuade me or I still stick to my thing. I want to put that in my list. And you said, no, 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 I won't put this in my list. And then we finalize it in a few days. Once we finalize my list, I hang it up on the wall and keep working for it. This is the world I'm going to make. And if we all keep on working for the world that we want to make, that world will happen. If we don't make that list, and we'll have to suffer for the world is created by nobody. It's almost like we are in a fast train moving, and inside we are enjoying ourselves, have the drinks, have the newspapers, and the videos, games. We're busy enjoying ourselves. We are not looking through the window where we are because we are so busy enjoying ourselves. And we don't even ask the question, where are we going? Because that question never appeared. We are busy. And that question has to be asked, where we are going, where we are and where we're going. And the next important question, do we have a driver in this train? Does he know where we are supposed to go? So always scream where you want to go, so that if there is somebody who can listen and take you to there, because it is only one life to live, I want to go where I want to go. I don't want to be abandoned in the middle of the place. I don't know where I am. So that's the task you have to do. And once you do that, all these questions will fall in place within that framework. Other question will be very easy. All the social businesses and how you organize, how to create a poverty-free world. Getting free from poverty is no problem at all. As I said, it is artificially imposed thing on human being. So if it's artificial, it's very easy. If it is inherent in the human being, then it will be difficult. It's not inherent. It's an artificial thing. So it's a question of just readjusting things that we have done wrong in our laws, in our institutions, in our concepts. If you redesign, everybody will have the same opportunity and move on. We won't be bonsai people anymore. We'll have the space for ourselves, and we'll make that happen. Thank you.
Well, this will be the last question. But you've said before that you believe microcredit, microfinance is not the final solution to poverty. Where do you see this going? What do you see being the next step, future developments?
So microcredit is one idea, because of the failure of the institutions, financial institutions, so that it becomes an inclusive financial institution. But microfinance creates a platform on which to work. Microfinance doesn't solve everything. It doesn't solve my health program, my health issue. But it facilitates it. If I go into health program, I know how to handle it because I have the financial part. I can run a health insurance program so that I can pay and I take care of myself. I can eat better food because I have the money. And all those things becomes easy when you have the microfinance institution. So you have to organize other issues like education, what we're talking about, the education for the children, health, malnutrition, sanitations, and all those things, which can be organized. So there you need a new framework where I can run my business as a profit maximizing business. I can run both business. I can have a social business. I can have a profit maximizing business because it's part of me. I have both urges. I want to make money at the same time. I want to be helpful. So I run my business in some place, and I also run a health program as a social business. I bring drinking water. I bring good quality medicine, an extremely affordable price because I don't need any frills. I don't have to give anybody any commission. In most of the cases, we pay more for the marketing of the company than the packaging of the company and so on, than the product itself. So we can dispense with all that, and we just pay what we get, and make it simple. So we have to address those issues, build new institutions that is helpful, not excluding people, other people, and so on. So this is what the microcredit kind of provides it. And microcredit itself could be done in both ways. It could be a profit maximizing business. You lend money to the poor people, they make money, what the money lenders always did. So you can follow that too. Or it could be social business. We go to microcredit not to make money for ourselves. It's a non-loss, non-dividend company. It is to help people get out of poverty. So that way we can keep the interest rate as low as possible. So that every penny that he earns or she earns stays with her. I take the least possible amount from her so that she can move out of poverty as soon as possible. So again, the concept of social business becomes very relevant even in microcredit. Okay.
Thank you. Media, Ian, Jay, you've done good, as we say in Bangladesh. Was that wonderful? Was that just marvelous? Thank you. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge His Excellency, the Consul General of Bangladesh. Could we ask His Excellency Mohammed Abu Zafar to stand, please? We're honored that you're here. Thank you. Before we invite Dr. Tippins to offer closing remarks, Dr. Yunus, students, faculty, guests, our friends, we have a very special announcement to make. We received word only very recently that Professor Janet Kerr, who, as you know, founded the Palmer Center for Entrepreneurship and serves as its executive director, has donated $10,000 to start a microfinance fund here at the Pepperdine University Law School. The ink was not even dry on Janet's check when we then learned that the director of the Palmer Center, Professor Melanie Howard, and her husband, RJ, have donated $1,000 to that same fund. These donations have been made in honor of Dr. Muhammad Yunus. These gifts and others that come from generous friends of the Pepperdine community, friends of and admirers of Dr. Yunus and all that you are doing, on behalf of, and this is, let me close with his words, the poorest of the poor, particularly women, and a philosophy based on mutual trust, accountability, participation, and creativity. Janet and Melanie, you inspire us. Would you please come forward and let us recognize and acknowledge this wonderful gift? Join me in welcoming our provost, Dr. Darrell Tippins, who will make concluding remarks.
Thank you very much, Ken, and what a great day it is for us in the life of this institution to be here for this wonderful occasion. And thank you, Janet, for your leadership at the Palmer Center and for your generous act of giving will, we understand now better than ever, replicate itself many times over in the years to come. Pepperdine is fortunate to have a person of your vision, your compassion, and your strength to make this community what it is today, and certainly a better place. And thank you, Melanie, for adding your gift. We know these gifts will make a difference. In the life of an academic institution such as Pepperdine, whose mission statement underscores our purpose of strengthening lives for service, purpose, and leadership, the lecture such as we've just heard is very apt and even historic. Dr. Yunus, the life you lead and the work you do shows us how we can join you and many others around the world to make it a better place. You said only one life to live. That's all we have is one life to live. And I must say personally, you've inspired me to try to do better because of what is possible as you've given us the vision. As Dean Starr said previously, you honor us with your presence today. You open our eyes to possibilities we might otherwise not even have fathomed. You have blessed our community by coming here, and for that we are deeply and profoundly grateful. We would like at this time to ask you to come forward to receive a gift from us, and we would like to ask Dean Starr and Janet Kerr to join me here on the platform for the giving of a little token of our appreciation of your presence.
Stage.
We're grateful for your friendship.
Thank you.
And your presence with us today. You deeply honored us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. Janet, you did it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dimple. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
If you will remain for just a moment as Dr. Yunus retires, we will be adjourning to the atrium for a reception. We're so thankful that you are all here. And the message that I hope that you'll take away is social enterprise, doing well by doing good. Doing well by doing good. We've been blessed by being here today. Join me in saying thank you to the Nobel Peace Prize winner of 2006, Dr. Muhammad Yunus.